Nigeria Info.
Absolutely. It's Morning Crossfire 99.3 Nigeria. And for good morning to you, Lagos, Nigeria, wherever you are watching from. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, good morning to you as well. We are glad to have you here on the show. We'll start this morning, Morning Crossfire proper. With our conversation with our reporter who is in Edo State as we speak. His name Fidel Sayale. He joins us from Edo State. Good morning to this morning to give us exactly what transpired. In case you missed out on it, we actually did a live coverage of the Edo election. We always do live coverage of elections here on Nigeria Info. In case you missed out on it, I don't know why you missed out on it, but I mean, it was really interesting for those that join in. We had Kenny Kolubo on Saturday, and we had Liberoso Shoma on Sunday as guests. The live coverage was covered in the studio here by our Obo and Wemimo Adewoni, the two great broadcasters were on hand to make sure that they bring you up to date. Of course, Fidel, plus the newsroom here on Nigeria Info also did Joe Man's job in making sure that they bring you all the latest details concerning the Edo election. Where let me also remind you, we have Fidel waiting right now, but before I bring on Fidel, let me remind you that Nigeria Info FM will be 9 years old October 1. Celebrations, you're welcome, congratulatory messages, they're all welcome. All right. But we want to help. We want to appreciate. We want to celebrate those that have made life much easier for others in their environment, in their immediate environment, in their various communities. So we are celebrating 9 outstanding everyday Nigerians. 9 of them. We will be celebrating them, but we don't know them. All right. So we want you that live around them, you that see them every day, you that interact with them every day, to tell us exactly about these individuals, males, females, young, old. Just let's know what they're doing differently to bring change to the society. Feel free. Download our mobile app. That is the channel we're using, so we don't disrupt our normal regular programming. Download our mobile app from Google Play Store and Apple iOS Store. Download it. Then launch the app. Once you download it, just open it. Then you see a chat icon at the top of the app by the right hand side at the top. Now click on that chat icon. That icon that you used to click when you want to send a message to the studio. Yeah, click on that icon. Then go straight. Once you click on it, a window will open. Then look down. You see nominate. Then click on that nominate. Then tell us about this individual that you like us to appreciate. This individual that you like us to honor. Let us know about this person. We would like you to be our eyes and our ears, so that we can honor these people. We can encourage them to even do more than what they are currently, doing for the society, basically. Okay. Right now, we will be speaking with Fidel very quickly right now in about a minute or so. Let's have Fidel join us on the program today to talk about the Edo election where he was. And for those that missed out on that, Fidel had a lot to give us concerning the Edo election. I am trying
Sorry, the customer you dialed is barred from receiving calls. Sorry.
I don't even know where that is coming from, but it's okay. Let's get Fidel in on the show today and talk to him in a moment. Stay here on Nigeria Info 99.3.
Back to back and back of the biggest talk.
It's just a general attitude to environmental laws. Mechanics, food sellers. One of the reasons why I believe you have so much traffic is because the environmental laws are not enforced, the traffic laws are not enforced, and that has led to complete chaos in the state.
On your number one station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info.
We keep you informed all day long with the best radio programming. From the Morning Crossfire with Sheriff to What's Up Lagos with Collins, Teke. And at noon, it's the sunny side with Joyce. Let's talk hard facts with Sandra
I will
Ezekwesili.
present a story the way that it was presented.
Femi and the gang bring the game on with day-by-day accounts of magnificent moments in the world of football. And we also keep it live and dangerous with Daddy Freeze. And finally, the chat station. All for your listening pleasure. Your number one station for talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Let's talk Lagos. For some weird reasons, we cannot get in touch with Fidel. Incidentally, the funny thing about this technology is that I spoke with Fidel like 3-4 minutes ago. And now we cannot reach him. It's weird, right? Exactly. We'll just leave it at that. Let's go for another short break. When we return, we hope to hopefully link up with Ajuri Ngelale and then speak with Ajuri Ngelale on. There is a plan that the government actually has to help MSMEs, small businesses, those that are working for small businesses and those that own small businesses, to give them grants. Ajuri will be joining us after this timeout. Stay here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.
Leading the conversation.
We black people must understand what is really going on.
Import milk, sugar, toothpaste, handkerchief, pencil. We don't make.
Presenting the facts and access to pour out your mind.
There are more good Nigerian doctors in LA than in the entire country of Nigeria. So let's be serious here.
We bring the experts on political and economic issues.
Every time you bring in a shipload of rice, you also bring in a shipload of unemployment because you are transferring your wealth to sustain other economies.
So let's look at an Africa that must be free to take care of herself, an Africa that's free from exploitation in broad daylight.
They need jobs. They are children. They've graduated. They've come back home to begin a second child because there's no factory to employ them.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. This is The Voice Note on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
From independence till date, what we've had are a bunch of people, good people in many respects, but stumbling into power with no text, with absolutely no idea what they're going to do with power. In part because successive presidents have always been brought from somewhere on parachutes to become presidents of Nigeria. The result of all this is that we have a severely fractured nation that is neither going nor coming. And every time a government comes in, it proves to be worse than the one that came before. But I think what is most important and most significant is that we need, going forward, to think a little bit more clearly about where are we, how are we hurting, and why are we hurting? Because every segment of this country is hurting. People who are from the south think, well, we are suffering because the northerners have taken over everything. Northerners say, well, we are suffering because the southerners control almost all the economy. The minorities say we complain because the dominant ethnic groups are the ones that are persecuting us. Truth of the matter, we are in this together. We either hang together or we will hang separately.
99.3 Nigeria, for a very lovely morning to you. Lagos, very quickly, let me bring you up to speed as to the plan for this morning. So we intended to actually have on the show this morning our reporter Fidel Sayali. We couldn't reach him because of poor connection from the service provider. We also will be speaking with Ajuri Ngelale. Hopefully, the service provider will not let us down because we're trying to reach out to him right now currently, but we can't still get to him. But still coming up, we'll be having Kenny Okolubo via Skype this morning to review the Edo election. When we're done with Kenny at 8:40, we'll also be speaking with an INEC director of voter education and publicity, Dr. Nick Dazang. He will be joining us later this morning on the show. That's the outline, the outlook of the show for today. Hopefully, things will go right. So let me start this way by saying that about 10 days ago, that's I think on Saturday, 12th of September, it was reported on the website of the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission that the federal government has officially flagged off the 60 billion micro, small and medium enterprises MSME Survival Fund and Payroll Support Scheme. It's called Survival Fund for a reason. So over the weekend, on Saturday, the VP of Shimbajo tweeted, and I quote, President Muhammadu Buhari has also approved the implementation of the MSME Survival Fund as part of the ESP to cushion the impact of COVID-19. Right. Let's have on the show this morning Ajuri Ngelale, who joins us already. Ajuri, a very lovely morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you, my dear brother, and of course, good morning to the great people of Lagos State.
It's good to have you. I was just telling the listener
It's a pleasure.
I was just telling the listener about the Survival Fund that was approved by the President, President Muhammadu Buhari. So yesterday, you tweeted that 75 billion naira Survival Fund registration would start today, 21st September. What is this Survival Fund really?
Thank you very much. Okay, so it's the MSME intervention component of the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan that was designed by the Presidential Economic Sustainability Committee, chaired by His Excellency Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo. So this intervention is a partnership between the Ministry of Trade and Investment and, of course, the Office of the Vice President, which had put together a project management office to essentially implement this MSME intervention of the program. And as you rightly mentioned, it is a 75 billion naira fund, which is 100% grants. So these are not loans. These are not monies that people will have to pay back at any time, but they are grants that we're providing to MSMEs and individuals who, of course, have been adversely impacted by the impact of COVID-19 on the nation's economy. And so the facility is for those who register on www.survivalfund.ng. That is www.survivalfund.ng. And I think it's extremely important to note that the registration process is being phased because what we want to avoid is a situation where everybody kind of crashes the website at the same time, looking for the opportunity, and then a lot of people are left out. So we're phasing it in such a way. Start with the first batch tonight at 10 o'clock on the website, which is going to be exclusively reserved for educational institutions. These are private school MSMEs, private school teachers, etc., who obviously have been really, really hard hit by COVID-19. This is going to offer them payroll support, whether it's crèche, whether it's primary school, secondary school, and all of that. So that's going to be available from 10 p.m. tonight. Then the second phase is going to be focused at the hospitality industry. These are hoteliers and associated food-related businesses in that industry, in the hospitality industry. That will open for them. The second batch will open up Friday morning at midnight. That is Thursday night moving into Friday morning at midnight. And then the final batch is next Monday morning at Saturday night into Monday morning at midnight. And that is going to be for all the MSMEs that are not educational and not hospitality based. So it will open up to everybody. And again, this is for individuals as well. So carpenters, plumbers, artisans, transport workers, bus conductors, bus drivers, etc.
So there's a part that is not that clear, Ajuri, and that is the fact that we keep using MSMEs. I mean, I'm wondering, I'm sure that a lot of Nigerians too are wondering that how do you determine who works in that space? You were mentioning carpenters, plumbers, conductors, and all of that. Are we just saying that generally this is for Nigerians? Generally, it doesn't matter whether you have a company or a small business or you work for a small business. What are the criteria really?
Yes, thank you very much. So it's a great question. Really, so what you have is, of course, for MSMEs, their criteria is very much sesame operating in the country. If you formalize your operations, one, you'll have, of course, your Corporate Affairs Commission registration number and all of that. You'll have likely your TIN number, your tax identification number, and you'll have some information like that, which will obviously then SME, and of course you give the details into your area of business. then we're also providing. It's important to note that we're not just focused on formal MSMEs. These are MSME because we're also targeting 250,000 MSMEs who have not been formalized. So we are actually going to pay for informal MSMEs across this country who may not have had the funds to be able to register at the Corporate Affairs Commission, or may not have been able to access a lawyer to go through that process, etc. in the past before CAMA was done. And we're going to actually hold their hand through the process of registering with CAC, 250,000 of them, by actually paying for their registration and walking them through the process as well. But to your other question, which is about the individuals, yes, we've been able to create sector-specific interventions, particularly around the issue of transport workers. These are individuals who have been very much hard hit by COVID-19. We'll certainly have a means through the registration process of ensuring that these aren't just individuals who have nothing to do with the sector who will be taking those opportunities. There will be ways of making sure that that's vetted. So that's what the registration process is going to be all about, because it's one thing to register. There's also going to be, of course, a follow-up process. It's not going to be a simple situation where individuals will just, put some information in a computer and that's it. They'll do that as step one. And then, of course, they will be followed up on by the project management team, between the office of His Excellency the Vice President and the Ministry of Trade and Investment, who is working together on the implementation of this project. But the critical component is automation. His Excellency the Vice President is clearly of the opinion that the way that you avoid a situation where you have jobs racketeering and opportunity racketeering is to ensure that these processes are automated, whether it was N-Power, whether it was trader money. We have experience already in automating these processes, and that certainly is going to continue so that Nigerians have faith in the process.
From what I am seeing on the website, Ajuri, I'm seeing that this particular scheme would start with a payroll support targeting 100,000 businesses and 500,000 beneficiaries for salaries ranging from 30,000 naira to 50,000 naira. Can you break this down exactly what it means, this particular aspect of the program?
Sure. Okay. So I think I'll probably just take a moment to break down each of the components. So I think that the first component is what you mentioned, where we're targeting. We're actually going to be leveling that up over the life of the program to 500,000 vulnerable MSMEs receiving payroll support of between 30,000 naira and 50,000 naira per employee within those MSMEs. Payroll support effectively means we're going to come in and we're going to pay the salaries of the workers within these MSMEs, through several months into the post-COVID-19 era. That's the really component number one. And then additionally, we're going to pay grants to 100,000 vulnerable MSMEs across sectors, not just education or hospitality, but across all sectors.
Is there a figure to the grants that you're paying to MSMEs, vulnerable MSMEs? Is there a figure to it?
Well, it's really going to be scalable, right? So we don't want to announce one figure for any particular sector because we believe that it's really case dependent. So, for example, if you have an aviation company, right, that's employing let's just say they're employing 50 people, right? Their intervention, their level of access to the intervention will certainly be different from a small crèche, for example, in the education sector that's employing 4 people, for example, or 5 people. So the interventions are really scalable depending on the case. We're really focused in on being very case specific and really tailoring the needs of the intervention, tailoring the intervention to the particular needs of the various companies that are calling in. Because for us, it's very critical that we cover as many individual individual Nigerians, because every Nigerian worker, we are assuming within the program, every Nigerian worker as an adult is likely to have a family.
Right.
So we're really focused on not just getting as many MSMEs, satisfied as possible, but we're focused on making sure that it gets to as many individuals within these MSMEs as possible, so that we can touch as many families as possible. Obviously, in this very, very difficult time. But I think it's also important to mention that within the interventions, there's also been a specific measure put in place to protect the provisions for female-owned businesses.
Okay.
The president and the vice president were very, very clear to the project management team that a very minimum of 45% of these interventions will be targeted at female-owned businesses across sectors, from not just fashion, but education, hospitality, and all of that. Female-owned businesses will be prioritized to that tune. And then again, a minimum of 5% have been set aside for businesses that are run by physically disadvantaged persons. The president and the vice president wanted to ensure that these individuals, who are usually left out in these types of schemes, are specifically catered for. And so that 5% is just a minimum, a baseline under which they cannot go, so that they have that guaranteed access. And then, of course, even above and beyond that, there for female losses.
Indeed, Ajuri, I will have to.
I should add very quickly.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Go on. Go on.
Okay. Yes, please. I just wanted to add very quickly that aside from the payroll support and the operations grants, that the individual, we're also targeting about 333,000 artisans. I did mention transport workers already, but the bus drivers, bus conductors, mechanics, and all of that. These are going to be direct payments. So instead of coming in as an MSME, these are going to be individuals who do not have MSMEs but are in the field.
Exactly.
And we'll have a way of vetting that. But we're going to make direct payments by use of BVN through automated accounts. There won't be any kind of cash transfer, physical cash transfer involved in this program. And then I think the last point I'll mention quickly is the guaranteed offtake scheme. And this one is very, very strategic. So within right now, of course, as a result, for the COVID-19 relief process, we're using soaps, we're using a lot of hand sanitizers, we're using a lot of face masks. So what we're doing within the guaranteed offtake scheme is we're basically saying that Nigerian MSMEs that are manufacturing COVID-19 relief materials, such as sanitizers, face masks, and the like, we are going to step into very aggressively as government to ensure that we do a mass bulk purchasing scheme, which is going to target these Nigerian MSMEs that are producing these critical locally made materials, and we're going to instead we're going to completely essentially sideline foreign-owned COVID-19 relief manufacturers, focus on Nigerian relief manufacturers and producers, and we're going to do bulk purchasing from them to make sure that those jobs within those Nigerian MSMEs supplying these COVID-19 relief materials are sustained and protected during COVID-19. So that's kind of the final component.
Fantastic. Ajuri, one last word. The address of the website again for our listener.
Absolutely. That's www.survivalfund.ng. And please make sure there's no S on fund. It is survivalfund.ng. And the registration portal opens up tonight at 10 o'clock. For those who are involved in education sector, it opens up on Friday morning at midnight. That's the 25th for those involved in the hospitality sector. And it opens up for every other form of MSME and, of course, individuals the following Monday, September 28th, at midnight, the morning of next Monday. Thank you very much.
Ajuri, thank you also for sharing this information with the rest of Lagos.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
There you go, Lagos. Information we've got for you today from the presidency. Let's quickly take this short break. When we return, we'll be speaking. We're going back to Edo to continue our conversation concerning the Edo election. We just thought that it'll be beneficial to you, our listener, to know exactly what the federal government has installed for you. We always talk about palliative. There you go. We'll be back after this.
Information, the new currency. Fact remains that the common man on the streets needs to have a better deal. And this president promised. This is not a better deal. No, this is not a better deal. Get informed on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is a public service announcement. Nigeria Info does not endorse nor vouch for the information you're about to listen to. Listeners' discretion is advised.
An American company in Lekki, Lagos is recruiting qualified sales representatives that own a car and a valid driver's license. Are you ambitious, hardworking? Do you have a great attitude? Are you ready to take your career to the next level? Here's an opportunity for you. Please call 0815 705 0505 or 0905 637 4258 to book for an interview.
That was a sponsored infomercial. Nigeria Info does not endorse nor vouch for the information you just listened to. Listeners' discretion is advised. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Top of the morning to you once again, Lagos. If you are just joining us, you're welcome. We're talking about a review of the last Saturday's Edo governorship election. And right now, joining me on the show is Mr. Nick Dazang, INEX Director for Voter Education and Publicity. Mr. Nick, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. I'm going to start with voter awareness, which is, of course, your primary constituency. How would you rate the awareness level of the voters in Edo State in the last election?
I think that the awareness leading up to the conduct of the election was very high. This can be judged by the fact that, this election is taking place within the context of COVID-19. And one would have thought that a lot of people will shy away or fear to come out and vote. But because of the saturated awareness campaigns that we waged by the Commission and other development partners, and of course other stakeholders in the process, a lot of people were galvanized. A lot of people felt safe enough to come out and vote. And if you look at the figures, the turnout was as high as the 2016 election when there was no pandemic. So to that extent, I think the outcome bears out the kind of voter education that we did. And going forward, we'll continue to do that in Ondo and across the country, because we have 15 by-elections across the country scheduled for 31st October 2020. So we'll continue, and of course, for us in INEC, voter education and publicity is not restricted to when elections are afoot. It pervades all the three electoral cycles. That is, before the conduct of an election, during the conduct of an election, and after the conduct of an election. So we have three electoral cycles, and we'll continue this exercise until, God willing, we conduct the 2023 elections. So for us, it is a continuous thing. It's not any jack effort. It is something that has to be sustained, and then the tempo intensified before the election.
Would you say anything changed in the attitude of the politicians in the last Edo election held on Saturday?
Yes, it did, and tremendously so. Recall that a month ago, we even threatened to postpone the conduct of election in Edo State as a result of the kind of incendiary rhetoric being issued by some of the gladiators there, and the incidents of violence with campaign billboards being torn, with innocent people being injured. The Commission was sufficiently angered to threaten to postpone the conduct of the election. This is the first time in the history of the Commission that it would threaten to postpone the conduct of an election. But in spite of that threat, we went back and we engaged severally with stakeholders. In fact, the chairman of the Commission attended a state interagency consultative election security committee meeting for the first time. And then we engaged with the Oba of Benin, who is well respected and revered. And that engagement with him resulted in his rebuking and chastising the stakeholders and calling them to order. And since then, and of course, the last stakeholders forum we held on Monday, and the efforts of the Abdul Salami-led National Peace Committee, which also led to the signing of an accord by the political parties, which committed them to peaceful conduct. A lot of things changed, and this was reflected in the conduct of the election. A lot of people, I'm sure, are surprised that the election turned out the way they did, because the situation was tense, so tense that you could cut it with a knife.
That's right.
But mercifully, and thank God, things have come to this very happy pass, and we would like working with other stakeholders to sustain this momentum across to the Ondo governorship election and subsequent elections.
Right. I'm glad that you mentioned that a lot of people would be surprised, and that's the statement of fact, because Mr. Dazang, a lot of people are actually surprised at the way things eventually turned out. And that's why I want to ask, what did INEC do differently in the last Edo election? Did you do anything differently? I mean, why?
Yes,
what happened?
we had to think outside the box. We had to, we had to cultivate. We now recognize that the Oba was a revered and highly influential person, and we needed to get his sympathy. And we did that. And when we did, he recognized the difficult circumstances in which we found ourselves, and he himself was not happy that politicians under him and in his full glare were bickering and bringing the state to disrepute. And this, the major gladiators doing this were from his own ethnic stock. So, he too was not pleased. And so we co-opted him in this engagement, and he brought to bear his influence, and it turned out to be very, very successful.
Did anything
that was
change,
one
did
thing
anything
we did.
change in the election process? Transmission
No, what
of
we
results
also did
and all
to
that?
encourage people is that, we introduced this new INEC results portal.
Okay.
Where you can, using www.inecresults.com, log into the portal and view the outcome of the conduct of the election real time. And the idea is, once you know the outcome at the polling unit level, via that portal, and through the instrumentality of the Form 60E, where the result of the outcome of an election in a polling unit is pasted on the wall for everyone to view, and then the EC8A form, which is when the results are entered into it, they are turned and given to all representatives of political parties, security agencies, and observers. So it is difficult for anyone to alter or manipulate it. And once people now realize this, and that we have put in more transparency measures, I think it was a big relief for them. They felt assured that their votes could count. And I think the fear always had been that people's votes would not count, even though they had always counted. It was because people were ignorant of the process, and they thought that someone else could go and alter the result. But we encourage candidates and political parties to nominate agents at the polling unit level, at the ward level, at the local government level, and at the state collation center level. And at each of these centers, whatever result that is being imputed is given to your agent. So if you put the totality of these results and tier-ups together, you can calculate the total number of votes you have scored. And if what we have announced or declared is at variance with what you have, then you can go to court. It's as simple as that.
Would you say the last election, because a lot of people were impressed, would you say that would have a positive impact when it comes to INEC's image regarding election in Nigeria? Would it in any way affect INEC's image?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Recall that from 2011 to 2015, we recorded incremental improvements in the electoral process.
Right.
And that elicited a lot of support for INEC in terms of support from the stakeholders, from voters, and so on. And it also impacted positively on the image of the country. Anytime we do something, we record a success in this country, it goes to help to improve and burnish the image of this country.
Right.
And elections are also one of the ways to improve the image of a country. Sports are also one of the ways to burnish the image of a country. Academic excellence is another way of burnishing the image of a country. You know, also if you excel in any arena, any department of life, your country is recognized, and it puts its citizens in high esteem. But if you do appallingly, if you fail woefully, of course it will also woefully affect the image and standing of your citizens and the country. And that is why we keep telling people, look, we have to work together to improve the conduct of elections. And it is not INEC alone. This is a multi-layered stakeholder activity involving not less than 100 stakeholders. And so if each stakeholder plays his own part with diligence, with integrity, with professionalism, the way INEC does its own, at the end of the day, we'll have very good elections. And it will all, impact on us. For example, the security agencies are being praised for doing a good job. So when you see a policeman now, you see him with renewed respect. Whereas it wasn't like that before. So, it also impacts on everyone who has put in an effort. It's not only INEC. All the people who provided the political environment also are being showered with kudos. So the kudos go round. They are not restricted to, it's a shower that goes round. It is not restricted to INEC.
Talking about kudos, Mr. Dezang, our international partners, the US government, the UK government, they issued some stern warnings before the election. Would you say this had an impact in the outcome?
Well, I think it's a token gesture, but we hope it is something they will sustain. Perhaps that will now keep people in check, because we keep telling people, look, the world has shrunk into a global village. The way the media prophet Marshall McLuhan, envisioned in the 1960s when he theorized about the prospect of a global village brought by improvement and innovations in the media. What you do in Lagos, goes viral globally. What I do here in Abuja goes viral in a matter of seconds. And if we do something bad, it goes viral, and Nigerians are all over the world, and it affects them. So, but if we do something good, it affects them, but positively, and people also accord them respect. They stand 6 foot tall because something good has happened to their country, and this is the kind of thing we should do. Nigerians in diaspora are doing their best, exporting dollars back to the country, and we need to reciprocate their gesture by doing good things here, so that together in concert we can move this country forward.
Mrs. Zhang, one final question before we wrap up this morning. Everything can be perfect. There's nothing that is perfect. News came out that during the election, some INEC officials refused to release a result until they are being paid. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, I want to ask you, what were those things that you observed that INEC didn't quite get right, that going forward INEC should be able to work on before the next election in Ondo?
Well, we need to still improve on our logistics. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Nigeria Union of Road Transport Workers. We use their vehicles. And we need to continue to impress on them to appreciate the importance of these elections, and by providing their vehicles timeously as we have agreed, so that our staff are conveyed to the polling units in good time, And after the elections are finished, they do the reverse logistics. That is, they take back the materials also in good time. Because it's one thing to conduct an election, it is another to declare the outcome.
Right.
The outcome is as good as conducting the election itself. So we have to keep our eyes on the ball. And logistics. We have to continue to improve on our voter education and publicity. We need to use diverse ways. We think outside the box.
Right.
Use unorthodox means.
Right.
To reach out to people. We use songs. We use cartoons. We use the social media platforms. Because Nigeria has a high youth population. 60% of the population is made up of youths.
Right.
And these are the people who partake in the social media. So the way to go is to use the traditional media and the social media together.
Right.
So you have a blend of the two. You use them as your channels in your strategy to reach out to Nigerians. And you don't exclude any group, be they women, youths, people living with disabilities, and so on. It has to be all inclusive.
Right.
So we have to engage with everybody. We have to carry everyone along. By the time we are all on the same page, it makes things easy.
A lot easier.
Because people understand you. They know where you are coming from. They know where you are going to.
Right.
So it's important that we improve on that. And then, of course, there is this trend that is rearing its ugly head, which is vote buying. Okay. We have now co-opted the EFCC and the ICPC to help us to checkmate this ugly trend.
Okay.
But from reports that we received in the field, there were instances of vote buying. And it has a way of marring and affecting the complexion of the election.
Very true.
And we need, therefore, to checkmate it. And we will work hard with our stakeholders to checkmate that.
Right.
And, of course, there are other instances, cases of malfunctioning of the smart card reader. That is to be expected.
Okay. Because
the shelf life of any digital thing you use is 4 years. We have used these smart card readers now for 5 years.
Okay.
But what we have done now is to make sure that we have what we call registration area technical staff, RATEX.
Okay.
Who now, as soon as there is a challenge with any smart card reader, they move from the ward to the polling unit and troubleshoot the problem. Where they cannot, that smart card reader is now replaced.
Okay.
So we will continue to put in place stopgap measures, backups all over, since these things are beginning to age and fail.
Right.
So if we do that, it will now, help to reduce some of the frustrations that we are seeing.
Mr. Nick Dazang, thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Crossfire today.
Thank you for having me.
Information, the new currency.
Fact remains that the common man on the streets needs to have a better deal. And this president promised, this is not a better deal. No, this is not a better deal.
Get informed on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Oh, there you go, Lagos. The interview with Mr. Nick Dazang, the Director, INEC Voter Education and Publicity. He joined us via the telephone this morning to talk about a review of the Edo election, what INEC did right, what INEC didn't quite get right as well. And they're looking forward to the elections in Ondo later this year. All right, that's how far we'll be able to go on the Morning Crossfire today, Lagos. But before we do that, let's try and give out 10,000 naira, shall we?
This is Just a Minute on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
So before we do that, before we give out that 10,000 naira, help us celebrate our heroes. Help us celebrate our amazing, selfless individuals living amongst us. Those that carry matter on top of their head to help others solve issues, to help the society be better. We want to honor them. in commemoration of our 9 years anniversary on Nigeria Info. So we'll need your help to do that. Download our mobile app. If you like to nominate, if you know anybody that deserves to be honored, to be celebrated, due to what the person is giving to humanity, feel free. Download our mobile app from Google Play Store and Apple iOS Store. Just type Nigeria Info FM. The logo is NI, right? The logo is NI. Nigeria Info FM. Install it on your phone, on your device. Then launch it. You see a chat icon. A chat icon on the top right-hand corner. Click on the chat icon. A new window will open up. Then look down. You see nominate. Then click on nominate. Another window will open up where you can put your name and tell us exactly, why that person deserves to be honored. 200,000 naira for 9 lucky, selfless, everyday Nigerians. 9 of them. They will get 200,000 naira in cash plus other, gifts and prizes attached to it. And we'll be coming to your neighborhood to come and honor these people. Yeah, we'll not do it on. No. We'll come there to come and honor them publicly so that we can show the world that is good. It pays to be good. All right. Download the Nigerian Info mobile app. Let's know who you are nominating. Nomination closes on Friday. That's right. After Friday, there won't be any time or any more extension. It closes on Friday. So feel free, nominate your selfless everyday Nigerian, amazing everyday Nigerians today. Let's play now.
This is Just a Minute on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hello.
Hello, good morning to you. What's your name?
Morning. My name is Orobosa.
Your name is?
Orobosa.
Orobosa.
Yeah.
Have you won Just a Minute before?
No.
If it's found out you've won before, then you will not be paid.
I have not.
Okay, all right. Let's play then, Orobosa. Let's play Just a Minute.
This is Just a Minute.
Your first question is, who is the Senior Special Assistant to President Buhari on Public Affairs?
Skip.
Nigeria Info will be 9 years when?
This year.
When?
October this year.
You're wrong. According to the NCDC website, coronaviruses are zoonotic. This means coronaviruses are normally transmitted between who and who?
From one person to the other.
Zoonotic means from animal to people. What is written on the logo of Nigeria Info FM?
NI.
Good, correct. You got one. COVID-19 was first reported in Nigeria when?
February 2020.
I need a date.
The date, I can't remember.
Okay, I'll give you one more. What does SARS-CoV-2 stand for?
Come again, please.
You said what?
Come again, I didn't hear.
What does SARS-CoV-2 stand for?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll dash you just one. This last one. In celebrating the 9th year anniversary, Nigeria Info will be rewarding how many everyday Nigerians with 200,000 naira?
9 people.
Okay, so you got 2 questions correctly. You know, say thank you, Abby.
Thank you so much.
Stay on the line, right? Your calls will be retrieved right now and the information gotten. Thank you, Lagos, for being a part of the Crossfire. You can follow me on socials on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. Same for Instagram and, follow Nigeria Info on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. You can follow me as well at Sheriff Quadry on Twitter and the rest of the socials, LinkedIn and Instagram, Sheriff Quadry. I'll see you tomorrow at 5. Table Talk with Wemi Madeuni is next.